It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a very busy Tuesday. Very busy. We need to warn our audience, we really don't have enough time to go over the entire list of everybody who was fired on Monday, but we're going to try and get through at least half of it by the end of the 5 hours.
I did call our agent. We're still employed.
Okay.
So
all right.
I know that one.
Did he answer? Wow. That's new.
There's a...
The hell's wrong with him?
There's a line here, Jeffrey Blahar from National Review. There may be a Tucker Carlson media empire sometime in the future. Rest assured, there will not be a Don Lemon media empire.
Yeah. I responded to somebody today on a thread that I posted and she asked musical chairs, ? And I said, because at one point Tucker was at CNN.
Yeah.
For
Crossfire.
Yeah. So, gosh, this generation may not know that. I'm trying to think of how old you would have to be to remember that. I know how old I am, roughly. But anyway, I said, well, one of them is moving on likely to greener pastures. The other one is Don Lemon. Here's the thing. I was telling you in the pre-show meeting, it was really... There were a couple of things that were kind of, eerie, interesting. Heritage Foundation celebrated their 50th Friday night, and there was a speech by Tucker Carlson. He was the keynote speaker and did a really great job. But somebody had pointed out, listen to some of the things that he says, and he talks about people, colleagues, people he knows and loves and has worked with that have kind of given in basically to what's going on the left, including the idea of putting your pronouns on your email and everything else. And he says, basically making the point that he really admires the people that, aren't going along with that. And then he went on and talked about what's going on with the youth of today and how the left is pushing for things like mutilation surgery. And he talked about how what was eerie to me is that it's almost verbatim what we had said, that there is no political game there. There is no political motivation for doing that. There is no win politically there at all.
Yeah, we said that a couple of weeks ago.
We said a couple of times we've made the point that if you're a strategist sitting in a room, you're saying you need to run from this idea. This is a nightmare of a political strategy. This is not a political strategy. It's pure evil, and he made that point. And it was interesting, talking about a number of things in that speech. And gosh, I'm blanking on his name, the director of the Heritage Foundation. After he was done speaking, they sat down and talked for just a couple of minutes. But he said, well, if the thing at Fox News doesn't work out, this was Friday night. If the thing at Fox News doesn't work out, you'll always have a place here at the Heritage Foundation. And they just kind of laughed at it. And I just thought, wow, that was kind of the eeriest of any of the eerie things related to Tucker being what most people believe now is let go from Fox News. That was the eerie part. And it was I found it very interesting, him making the points. And it's a very simple observation if you're looking at the situation like we've looked at it. And like many, including Tucker, have looked at it. And it was, so many people are speculating, all right, is this about the Dominion lawsuit? I don't know if we'll ever know. Not sure.
Yeah, you don't know what's in the mind of You're not there every day to see the relationship between the people.
You're not. The Q1 23 numbers were down significantly.
That's the rate, so people understand. Yeah. That's the ratings.
Yeah, their ratings 25 to 54 were down significantly.
Right,
40% in prime time. 40% of their audience, 25 to 54, compared to Q1 of last year, is gone. That's a big deal. I didn't see anybody. You and I were texting back and forth. I didn't see anybody else making that point. Now, Tucker still, was all the way up to Friday night, the king of primetime on Fox. He led the pack. He was still number one. And the format overall is down. I mean, I don't know if anybody is left watching CNN. It's so bad. It is really bad in terms of their numbers. But and it happens. There are these low news cycles after a very contentious midterm election. You get into the first quarter of the following year, and quite often it slows down a little bit. I would argue you and I have talked about it, there's never a shortage of things to talk about. And I would also argue that with those primetime shows, especially with Tucker's, he could find stories that weren't necessarily from above the fold that morning. He's talking about the big issues, but he could find stories and back when they would come on, he would have liberals on and then destroy them. And, those are the things that, you look at. And then you also look at, and you and I have talked, you said this, I don't know how many times. If you look at the audience of a primetime newscast, 1 hour, just carve out Tucker Carlson, 2 to 3 million, whatever, depending on if it's a really good night or average night or whatever,
right,
of people tuning in. That is a big deal on cable news. But in terms of your overall audience and what people are exposed to now and what they do on their own, it's a fraction of what people do on streaming, on the collective of the platforms where people go out on their own. It's just a fraction of the audience. Yeah. And if you're an exclusive to Fox News, which of course he was up until Friday, and I don't know if his contract is still in play and he has to stay off the air, but if you're exclusive to that, then basically it's whoever's watching Fox Nation and the thing he did there, and then his evening newscast. Now, there's no reason to believe he wasn't happy, but the point is that if he decides to go on his own, and I suspect he will, it's going to be massive. It's going to be huge. And it will be quite likely a much larger audience if he does indeed go on his own.
Well, if he decides to do podcasting, but podcasting is a different thing than being on the being seen on TV. So I don't make predictions as to somebody's future success.
Well, today they're all doing a TV show and podcast. It's
right,
video and audio.
And it may go good. It may not. It all depends what people are. Again, it was appointment TV where he's on at a particular time. A year from now, because it looks like again he was from all reports out there from what we have seen, he was fired. This was not a mutual agreement. He found out 10 minutes before the announcement came out, according to reports. But he will collect his pay, which means if he collects his pay, he's still under the rules and regulations of Fox.
He's under the terms of the contract.
He's under the terms of the contract. Now, that's probably why you haven't heard any comment from him.
Yeah, he probably can't talk.
Right. So he can't talk. So in all likelihood, if he has another year left in the contract, you won't hear from him, for another year. A year is a long time. And it all depends, again, what comes out of this lawsuit, because what they're saying is what this had to do with was two things that I've heard. The emails that he wrote where he went after other employees and the new lawsuit from the producer. And so if that comes up like Bill O'Reilly, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if it comes up and there's disparaging things about of Tucker Carlson, and I'm not saying there will be, you never know what's going to happen because Bill O'Reilly disappeared. And he was, quite a popular host there, and he just, he disappeared. So you don't know in the industry when you change it. The other thing is real estate matters. As real estate is where you're on.
Yeah, and that's my point. Is that the collective platforms will tower over Fox and the numbers that they can bring, and that's what you have seen. And again, aside from something that would be that would tarnish his reputation, if that is learned, then that won't be good, and that likely wouldn't turn out. Aside from something like that, then it will likely be something that is bigger and better than what he was doing in a larger audience.
Yeah, again, you and I have talked about this before. We don't get to watch prime time much of anything, so I really can't comment. At times I would, watch Tucker and completely agree with him. At other times I find him to be a little bit too populist, oil companies and things like that we had talked about in the past. But then you had the same thing with Bill O'Reilly. He, at times he would become a complete and total populist.
Yeah,
and
I wasn't a fan of O'Reilly,
and not really a conservative. The thing that really got me overall, and again, this may not, I don't know. Look, it isn't necessarily one thing. It can be a combination of things that you're dealing with management over a period of time. But when you lose almost $800 million, that has an effect. That has an effect on the relationship between you and the talent. And they have the Smartmatic lawsuit also coming up, for $2.7 billion. That's by the way, that's serious money. The 787 million, is that what it was? Is more than Fox brings in bills in an entire year. So they lost that in a lawsuit. Now, they have cash at hand, but that's still not good. You can't, you can't lose.
If it is that, I would expect other hosts to be gone too.
If it's what?
If it is connected to the Dominion lawsuit,
right? But it could be the Dominion lawsuit, and then the Smartmatic lawsuit coming up, and then we don't know. What they know about the other producer filing the discrimination lawsuit. Well, if you're part of a number of lawsuits against the company, most companies don't want you there. It's that simple. And again, I'm not saying that's the case. I will say this, and I said it last week. I cannot believe the one thing that blows my mind is, and in my opinion, I'll be blunt here, the absolute stupidity of Tucker Carlson and his producer to be writing on company email what they wrote.
Right. And the text messages.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The whatever on the text message, whether, to me it was because clearly what he was saying on the air. And again, you and I were the ones that brought up when Sidney Powell was basically, as they said, we disassociate from her. We haven't paid her anything. They didn't say she didn't work for her. They just said,
the Trump campaign. Yeah.
What'd I say?
Well, you didn't, but the Trump campaign.
The Trump campaign. At that point, he had come out because we had stated, we came on that Sunday night, Monday morning, and said, I think it was probably around November 19th or 20th. And we said, she's lying about Dominion and Smartmatic. They're lying. The lawyers are lying. And we said it then. We got flack for it. Well, Tucker Carlson also came and said, look, she hasn't presented any evidence. He came on that day and said that. Hasn't presented any evidence.
I think he actually said at one point she was lying, and that he reached out. They reached out to her, and there was this exchange back and forth, and she became angry basically when he was saying, if you've got something, you need to prove it. I'm paraphrasing there, that back and forth, but that basically is how that exchange went down.
They also said that, going after because this was the Fox News on the Arizona call, we devoted our lives to building an audience and they let Chris Wallace and Leland blankety blank wreck it. Carlson texted in a group conversation with Ingram and Sean Hannity roughly 2 weeks after the election. Leland was the Fox News reporter who was frequently criticized by Trump. He left the network in April of 2021 for News Nation on Trump's destructiveness. This is what Tucker Carlson wrote. What he's good at is destroying things. He texted his producer. He's the undisputed world champion of that. He could easily destroy us if we play it wrong. On Trump, I hate him passionately. He texted Pfeiffer on January 4th, days prior to the riot at the U.S. Capitol. He added of the Trump presidency, we're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest. But come on, there really is not an upside to Trump. On November 5th, in response to his producer who had written that I really think many on our side are being reckless demagogues right now. Of course they are. We're not going to follow them. The sun will rise tomorrow. We're going to wake up. I always think about that. On the antics of Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood. Sidney Powell is lying, by the way. I caught her. It's insane. He texted Ingram on November 18th. And then we'll talk more about it here. But some of them, some of the things where he, stuff he wrote about Trump and Sidney Powell were not the things he was saying on the air. Not that he wasn't, again, suspicious of it, but you just can't get caught saying one thing off the air and one thing on the air.
Yeah, I think with Sidney Powell, he kind of cleared that up in the end by the time it was over and she was separated. But clearly, he did not say fully what he felt about Trump on the air at Fox News. No. And if you're not going to do that, then what's the point of the show? That would be the question.
866-90 Red Eye.
Cold weather takes a toll on trucks. As warmer weather rolls in, it's time to assess the impact winter has had on your vehicle before you find yourself stranded roadside this spring. If you're experiencing sluggish cranking, start your spring maintenance routine by having your electrical system tested by a professional technician. Your batteries, alternator, and starter have been working overtime to keep up with cold starts and thick oil during winter. Continuing to crank a vehicle with low voltage will lead to more damage and downtime later on. Big rigs are big investments. Take care of yours now to help avoid downtime later and keep rolling through to next winter.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella.
Shell Rotella with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carlson. I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90 Red Eye. Yes, I mean, that's the one thing that got me was the stupidity of the communications back and forth. Where if you're saying one thing on the air and you believe something else off the air, you better not document it anywhere.
Well, there's the question, because is that what led to the ratings fall? Now, again, the entire format, all the news, the cable news channels were down. But did that
I'll say this.
Lead to it?
Every Trump supporter I've talked to has no idea of those text messages from Tucker.
I don't hear a lot of chatter
They
about
have no idea that he...
You certainly didn't see it on social media.
That he called Trump a demonic force, that he's a destroyer, that, basically, can't wait till he's gone.
Right.
He's not going to destroy me. I mean, it's not the way he was on the air. And like I said, I was amazed a number of Trump supporters that still today have no idea that those text messages and emails and everything exist.
Right.
The fourth branch of government. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara on Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 86690 Red Eye. And, there's a lot of talk, where will Fox go next on this? I don't know. Maybe they should go the direction that their website has gone to. For example, just looking at some of the headlines on their website, list of Democrats with potential to lead President Biden's 2024 reelection campaign has been revealed. Just reading some of the headlines here. Riot police descend on state capitol as left-wing protesters shut down proceedings. Breakfast Club star rips American cancel culture is unsustainable. Parents and politicians share Biden's or shred Biden for claiming our nation's children are all of our children. Actress Selma Hayek stuns in bikini pics, feels renewed after ocean dip.
There's your replacement right there.
That's what I'm thinking. We need replace. Because we have brought you this over the last couple of years. We used to see it with the Daily Caller, which used to be Tucker's website to begin with. Remember how they would always do that? Mm-hmm. They'd always be like, check out this actress in a bikini next to Republicans say the economy is not sustainable with this inflation. And the next story, look at these hot babes on the beach in a bikini. It's like, what? So maybe that's what they can do. They can have bikini reporting.
Yeah.
Or they can do, the bikini hour on Fox.
Male viewership is through the roof.
But we do have to pay homage to Don Lemon. This was our favorite Don Lemon. This was our favorite Don Lemon show ever. Mm-hmm. It goes back, was this 2013, 2014?
Is this the one where he was sober?
Yes, he was sober here.
All right.
And this is Don Lemon, and this is after the Malaysia airliner crashed. And it was a mystery. And so he had on these, huge... airline crash experts, including Mary Shiva.
Right.
And this was our favorite ever. Here we go.
Yeah.
What if it was hijacking or terrorism or mechanical failure or pilot error? But what if it was something fully that we don't really understand? A lot of people have been asking about that, about black holes and on and on and on and all of these conspiracy theories. Let's look at this. Noah says, what else can you think about? Black hole, Bermuda Triangle. And then Deji says, just like the movie Lost. And, of course, they're also referencing the Twilight Zone, which has a very similar plot. That's what people are saying. I know it's preposterous, but is it preposterous, you think, Mary?
Well, it is. A black hole is about, a small black hole would suck in our entire universe, so we know it's not that.
Is it preposterous?
And the thing about it, they had the graphics and everything. Was it a black hole? And so this is something that CNN...
They had a meeting about that.
They had a meeting about it. We need to make sure we have the graphics.
Make sure the graphics ask the question, was it a black hole?
Could this be a black hole?
Was it a black hole?
And Tucker asked the question... Don Lemon asked the question, why? Physics. By the way, that comes from yesterday's show. Okay, it's
breaking news. Fox News has announced the replacement, Aaron Rodgers. You heard it first here. He's been traded to Fox News. Sorry, Jets.
And he will talk strictly about COVID.
It will only be about COVID. It will only be. It's going to be the Aaron Rodgers COVID Hour. I think that's the name of the show.
It is
COVID Tonight with Aaron Rodgers.
it is interesting as to where when you look at CNN, they're completely lost. Yeah, and you and I, by the way, had said this, that if they thought that trying to do some form of straight news was going to work, we didn't see the business model for that.
No,
we don't.
Boring.
It is. I mean, and what you substance will, you're talking to CNN. For conservatives, I believe substance and entertainment sells.
Well, and, the news is not exclusive to CNN. It's just like music.
Right.
You can hear music in the same song from many different places. But it's the personalities and this is what drives primetime cable news. And you may say, well, I don't like opinionated. Well, that's the only thing people like is something that's opinionated. What they do during the day, they want to call it journalism. Don Lemon still thinks he's a journalist. But the fact of the matter is that it's okay to have opinions. The problem is they have people who have opinions based in nothing. They have people who have opinions that are not based in reality or the facts, and they don't want to discuss the facts. If you can lay out the facts, here are the facts. Gone are the days of the back and forth on the issues. That's
right.
over. So I don't know where they go, but
you think about it. Who name somebody from CNN besides Wolf Blitzer? Jim Acosta, maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
There's just no. There is no personality that sticks out right now.
No.
And personality. I think personality drives all media to begin with. I don't care what you're doing.
Well, because it's exclusive. It's what's exclusive to your channel. Right. That news story, they can hear the same story is being reported likely by countless news sources, but that personality is exclusive to your territory.
Not only that, but it's appointment TV. Appointment, that's gone. People get their news like we get our news. You get your news. Now, opinion you can only get when, the individual personality opinion you can only get when that individual personality opinion appears somewhere. You can't get that anywhere else. And you can't find it. I mean, you can find repeat shows, but you can't find what goes on, today. The instant analysis is unique. And everything else in the news, though, you can search for. Oh, by the way, just so you know, when I saw the Tucker Carlson thing appear, I was like, well, this isn't true. I thought it was a Babylon Bee. I was like trying to find the joke in it somewhere. It's like, where's it? Okay, it's not a joke. Okay, fine. So I immediately go to Twitter. So I go to Twitter, and and it's Don Lemon, and it's saying, I got fired today, and then I had to expand it. I thought Don Lemon was talking about Tucker Carlson, and that this was a Tucker Carlson statement. And I'm reading through it, and it's like, no. Oh, Don Lemon got fired. It's like, wow, within like 5 minutes.
Well, and then it's funny because then CNN Communications had to put out a statement saying, Don Lemon's statement about this morning's events is inaccurate. So let this go on record, by the way. This is 12 hours ago. Let's go on record here as the first time that CNN was concerned about Don Lemon saying something that is inaccurate.
Yeah, I don't know where CNN goes. I just see it as a sinking ship, and I don't know. I honestly don't know where they go. I don't know who replaces Tucker Carlson.
When the Discovery takeover, that's kind of where that John Malone with Discovery had come in, and this is the company essentially that took over CNN and a number of properties. If you still have cable or satellite TV, that's starting to sound ancient. Break out your DVD player. And when they were doing that, before they closed on that acquisition, Malone was talking about, that, I'd like to see it be an actual newscast, real news. And you and I picked it apart and said it's boring. And we said then, we don't know where you go.
Yeah.
There was a little spike at MSNBC for the premiere of Jen Psaki's show, but that was going to happen. People were curious. They tuned in, and that's going to fade as well. And it's going to fade because the opinions, here's the thing. We talk about the issues and how the left is not in lockstep with most Americans on the issues. They still win elections, but they cannot, in terms of the ideas, they're not winning. Well, there's your problem with cable news, aside from Fox, CNN, MSNBC. They're gonna have to get louder and louder, or reach out and get other personalities. And I don't know who those people are, because you can't bring in, because Don Lemon was demoted to the morning show recently. And, if you try the old, slightly older than middle-aged male anchor with gray hair, well, let's see what's going on in sports this morning. Hey, Jay, what's that Aaron Rodgers story all about? You can't. That's you can't do.
No, you can't.
I don't know where they go. Look, even Seacrest knew that. Listen, I got to get off this whole contrived set, and he left the morning show with Kelly. I just saw this article just a few days ago that it was his last day. I was like, oh wow. But, I don't know where they go. Everybody today, by the way, was building their wish list online. Okay, next we need to have Whoopi fired from The View, Joy Reid fired from MSNBC, and it was like this whole wish list coming down. I don't know how The View we said this. I don't know how they stay on the air. I don't know who's watching the show, if it's about a train wreck. I don't know why they're watching. So when you get back to cable news, I don't know what you do.
I think there is a format for the left, and it's the Joy Reid View format, which is just pure insanity.
Yeah, basically that's the only game they have.
No. I mean, where lawyers have to be, for example, on The View, always on call. It's just pure insanity and rage and emotion. I do think that when Jonathan Turley talks about the age of rage, I think that's what you get from MSNBC, for example, and Joy Reid. And you see when they bring on the guests, I mean, the most outrageous accusations. Everything is Nazi this, Nazi that.
Yeah.
Mussolini now is because
right.
That's for DeSantis, he's Mussolini, not Hitler. And so everything is just over the top constantly. And it goes back to when we talked about the lawsuit on what's her name? I can't think of the other one from MSNBC. I got mind blank. Where the lawsuit came out and said that really, you can't sue her because everyone knows. She knows she's lying. Her audience knows she's lying. Everybody knows she's lying.
Yeah, Rachel Maddow.
Mm-hmm. That she's just lying about everything. There is no credibility to the show whatsoever, so you can't sue them for defamation because everybody understands that she's just being outrageous and lying in order to get a reaction. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what MSNBC is, and that's where they found their little niche. Mm-hmm. It's the delusion of the left that they're selling. You can't do that on the right.
No, you can't. No, I actually had a conversation with somebody who at the time was an executive for our company, and we had that conversation because we were talking about another show, and I said, well, that show can sell anything and everything, and it doesn't have to be true. We can't do that with our audience, And so we had a nice conversation about that, just kind of making observations about what the actual playing field is in anything that's opinionated. On the right, it must be, as far as I'm concerned, fact-based. If it's not, then you're going to lose every time.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 86690 Red Eye. Problem is for Fox right now is management is litigation paranoid.
Yeah,
that's where they are right now. They're litigation paranoid. So I don't know what they're going to do, because it's not about, I don't think right now, what's the best program that we could put on. It's about the fact of we got to stop this litigation.
It's litigation mitigation.
Yeah,
that's
no, you're right.
It's
litigation mitigation. That's where they're at the moment. Yeah.
Top of the hour news is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, 86690 Red Eye. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being there. I mean, here, there, well, there and here.
Wherever you are, thank you.
President Joe Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, denied his role in the Biden family's alleged foreign influence peddling conspiracy in Ukraine. Do you have a response to that? And were you part of a corrupt influence peddling operation involving the Biden family in Ukraine or other countries? His answer, no. And that was it. He just said no. Now, I don't know, because when he was done, they said that he denies that he was part of a corrupt influence peddling involving the Biden family in Ukraine or other country. I didn't take it that way, because the question was, do you have a response to that, and were you a part? There were two questions there.
Right, we don't know what he was saying no to.
And I immediately picked that up. I said, well, he didn't say no, he wasn't involved in it. He simply said no, and the first part of the question was, do you have a response to that?
Yeah.
Let's just hear this here. I think I have the audio here. Okay, we do. Here we go.
All right.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
Do you have a response to that? And were you part of a corrupt influence peddling operation involving the Biden family in Ukraine or any other country?
No.
Yeah.
No,
there's no explanation yet.
Well, there's the thing, is that you got to be careful about the questions that you ask. I know they're trying to get a lot in because they may not get a follow-up. But you got to be clear, straight to the point, because we still don't know what he's saying no to.
And we didn't mention that yesterday when we were talking about the fact of the problem of the Biden administration, and that apparently, I mean, I saw the news item when I woke up, was it the New York Times, and that he still plans on announcing today.
That's the word.
That he's running for president, and we just said, wow. I mean, what a week. The thing is, they've been looking for a week to announce a good week. Did they finally just realize and say to themselves, there's not going to be a good week?
Well, I know this. What points to the announcement actually happening later today is that the schedule for the Easter Bunny was suddenly cleared late Monday. So we expect the Easter Bunny to be there. Al Roker. Maybe, I don't know, Whoopi Goldberg, Don Lemon. There could be a number of people there.
Well,
Don Lemon's not doing anything.
When we talked about last week and said, well, I mean, what a week it was when you think about it. Merrick Garland is now, the influence peddling, as we all know. Think about all the different stories just from last week, that it went from 9 to 12 Biden family members, that now Merrick Garland, according to the whistleblower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, according to the. I'm trying to make sure I have the scandal's right in my head here. There's so many tentacles of this that Merrick Garland lied to Congress, and Merrick Garland keeping the investigation from moving forward. We'll get to some specifics because I think it was Margot Cleveland wrote an article on that in the Federalist.com. The reason that the Biden administration is absolutely panicking and Democrats are panicking, over the entire thing right now. So you've got now Merrick Garland involved in it. You've got now Jake Sullivan. Remember the Jake Sullivan story?
Yeah.
And this was from the former White House stenographer who went public and said, I was sitting in the meeting. I was there when the law was broken, and I'm willing to testify under oath to it that I was there when they were, heading over to Ukraine, and I was there when they were discussing the influence peddling.
Yeah.
I was sitting right there. And that's what they were referring to that. And what's the other one I'm forgetting here? There's Garland. There's Jake Sullivan.
And Blinken.
Oh, Blinken. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I thought that they were, when he was announcing that they were evacuating the embassy in Sudan, I was waiting for somebody to ask him, are you going to evacuate the State Department? What was interesting is as he was making the announcement, I don't know, I probably read too much into it, but he just looked different. I don't know. He kind of had a nervous look on his face, which would apply in the case of everything going on with Sudan. But it would also apply with everything going on that came out over the weekend about Blinken. And I don't, look, Sullivan was not going to get to that place without that kind of arrogance, denial, and refusal to engage and answer questions. That's exactly the way that was always going to go down. He's there for a reason. So I expect him to just sit and say, no. And, here's the thing, though. He's doing what Biden should do. He's not engaging. I'm not one to give advice to people like Jake Sullivan, but we basically put that blanket advice out there. Don't engage with the media. Biden can't help it. Biden wants to talk about himself endlessly. And so he says things like, they tell me not to take any questions. Okay, what's your question? And then, what about your son, Hunter? No questions. And,
right.
And Sullivan just flat. No.
Just say no. But when he said no, and I saw the papers running, well, he said he's not involved in anything like that. No, he didn't.
No,
he didn't say that.
No, he didn't.
And then so you've got the Merrick Garland situation and the whistleblower. Then you've got Jake Sullivan. Then you have the story of Blinken was the one that actually initiated the idea of the fact that it was a Russian disinformation, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was classic Russia disinformation to former CIA director under the Obama administration, Mike Morrell, that got it all going. And this is Morrell's testimony before the Republican investigators. Well, I mean, now you've got everybody involved in it. Mm-hmm. And so that's it. That's the problem, because the blood in the water a lot of times in scandals comes from the cover-up.
Yeah.
And the cover-up
right.
and the wide, range, the expanding of the actual cover-up. So when you think about it, the fact, even yesterday, I was like, nah, he's not going to announce. He can't announce this week. He can't. There's too many questions over his head. Now, does he announce, and does he take any questions? Or is he just going to announce and then walk away? And that's the thing. And then you've got Marianne Williamson and Ramaswamy going crazy because there are no planned primary debates at all, and they're screaming, the Democratic Party doesn't believe in democracy. Duh.
Yeah. What did you think? What did you think this was?
Well, did I say Ramaswamy?
Yeah.
So he's running as a Republican.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I meant Marianne Williamson and Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
Are screaming that.
Well, I mean,
there's
it
too
could
many
come
people
from either.
There's too many people already running.
Right. Yeah.
No, it was Robert Kennedy Jr. and Marianne Williamson screaming the fact that there is no democracy inside the Democratic Party. I'm like, wow, just in the last couple of weeks,
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
the Democrats are sexist, the Democrats are racist, the Democrats are against democracy, and that's coming from Democrats.
Yeah.
But it's almost a surreal world that, because this is really, when you think about it, for the scandals for Biden, this is the worst week. And I just remember.
No, you're right. It's all coming together. Really, tell me who in his administration isn't touched essentially by this. Susan Rice. Oh, she's out. I mean, yeah, it's funny. His top domestic advisor, she's gone is it the end of this month? End of next month, I think they said.
Well, when you saw the New York Times story last week, this really didn't get a lot of publicity. There were Republicans who were talking about it, but it was a New York Times story about the unaccompanied children. And what a horrible situation that is.
Yeah.
In essence, child slavery.
Yeah.
Going on, and she's the lead domestic advisor, but when you're the domestic advisor and everything domestically sucks.
Yeah.
I think National Review had Garrity had a column on Susan Rice yesterday. Again, never been a fan of hers because, as you know, she lied, went out there and during the Obama administration did that whole line about Benghazi
and Syria. Yeah.
And Syria. Yeah. It's a great point. Yeah. And Syria also. It's just like, what in the world? I'm trying to find where it is here on. Okay, I'll find it here sometime. But
right.
A article written on her and just the really the insanity when you think about it of her. And didn't at one time was somebody talking about her as a presidential candidate or a
VP choice for Biden?
Yeah.
That was the talk during spring 2020. Well, and you know what I thought is she leaving to be his campaign advisor?
Wow.
She going to run the campaign? I don't see her in that position, but what the heck do I know?
I wouldn't want her. Yeah, there is a good riddance Susan Rice.
Because if think about it, in 2020 it was Blinken. Why wouldn't it be Susan Rice?
Jim Garrity, President Biden's top domestic policy advisor, appears to have said some awareness of how the administration's policy towards unaccompanied children was encouraging parents to send their children and teenagers north, overwhelming the limited resources at the border. In 2021, as images of children sleeping under foil blankets in overflow centers dominated the news, Susan Rice, the White House's head of domestic policy, told staff members she was frustrated with the situation. According to 5 people who worked with her, Ms. Rice vented in a note that she wrote on a memo detailing the position of advocates who believed a pandemic-era border closure was compelling parents to send unaccompanied children across. This is BS, she wrote, according to the copy of the memo reviewed by the Times. What is leading to voluntary separation is our generosity to unaccompanied children. In a statement, Ms. Patterson, the White House spokesperson, said that any suggestion that Ms. Rice felt constrained by the demands of the law was false, and she was proud to be doing the right thing and treating children with dignity and respect. Last week, the New York Times reported that thousands of children have ended up in punishing jobs across the country, working overnight in slaughterhouses, replacing roofs, operating machinery in factories, all in violation of child labor laws. All along, there were signs of the explosive growth of this labor force and warnings that the Biden administration ignored or missed, the Times found. This morning, President Biden announced Susan Rice would be moving on from the administration next month. The first news report about Rice's departure from NBC News was quick to emphasize that the Rice's departure had nothing to do with the problems of the administration's immigration policies. Administration officials said the controversy has nothing to do with Rice's decision to leave, which they said was already in the works. It's common for the White House staffers to burn out after 2 years, but with Biden, Rice had largely kept a lower profile compared to her time as national security advisors to the Obama years. But, yeah, I mean, that story the New York Times wrote is just blistering on what's going on with children, all because it's what the Democrats and the administration wanted to do.
Yep.
866-90 Red Eye.
Most owner-operators leased to larger carriers are paid on a per-mile basis or a percentage of revenue per load. The per-mile basis is most prevalent among larger fleets, percentage at smaller. Pay per mile tends to dominate discussions about pay just because it's easier to measure, and pay per mile often is wrongly used as the deciding factor in leasing to a carrier. While pay per mile can be a vital factor, it's not a cure for every ill. Nor does it mean a big settlement check is coming an owner-operator's way. Why? Because pay per mile always must be considered in balance with gross revenue as well as total costs. Gross revenue can include flat mileage pay that varies by length of haul, percentage revenue pay, and more. Most importantly, though, for every revenue dollar generated, only part of that dollar is profit. But for every extra dollar of cost saved, the entire dollar contributes to profit. Knowing and understanding your cost to operate is fundamental to understanding the true value of any pay package. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Shell Rotella. Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90 Red Eye. No idea whether he will announce today, but that's what the news reports are saying, that the president's going to announce that he's running for president in 2024. This seemed to be the consensus, even in the mainstream media, over the last couple of days.
And Terry, do you expect all Democrats to suddenly rally around the president?
Well, I'll leave that to our Democratic former official here. My own sense is that most Americans don't want to vote for an 81-year-old man for president.
And Terry, do you expect everyone to...
Well, there you go.
And that has been this is the growing conversation in liberal media that has really increased. I'd say in the past couple of months especially. At first they were like, oh, no, he's fine. But after the midterms, as we predicted, they were going to start that pivot. And it was, then it became, well, he would be 82 by the time he starts his second term, and you're hearing that more and more in the liberal media. And what was the, forget who did the poll over the weekend that showed 70, and it was a poll of Americans. They didn't break it down. 70% don't want him to run again. And then a huge chunk of them were saying because of his age. And then and that was close to 70% of those individuals saying they didn't believe he should run because of his age. And then 49% because they don't believe he's fit for the job or whatever.
Funny thing is, I just put in Google 70% just to get the right poll. I'm like, oh, there it is. No, it's a poll from last December that said 70% don't want him to run.
Yeah, and you're seeing that more and more. And it was a
NBC News poll.
NBC News. It was at Marist. That's the other party on that poll. But anyway, that came out over the weekend. And when you see that, look, the media doesn't have a problem now reporting. NBC and CBS are now on the Hunter laptop thing. They're on the latest part. they're actually up to date on the Hunter laptop. Remember, it took CBS News, 2 years to say that the story was legitimate? It was like they had just discovered it.
Yeah, that was great.
And then recently, I mean, they're now up to date on the story, all the way up to what's going on, quite possibly, with the Attorney General lying under oath to, again, possibly lying under oath to protect the whole Hunter Biden and President Biden situation. So, yeah, there has definitely been a shift in the media.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90 Red Eye. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Listen when and where you want if you can't listen live overnight. So, yeah, I think that it actually is not his age that the Democrats are concerned with. They're using that. I do think that they're afraid that because of his cognitive decline, that he's not going to be able to debate, and that's why you've got, when we talked about Marianne Williamson and Robert Kennedy Jr. yesterday, going crazy, saying why doesn't the Democratic Party believe in democracy? Well, that's why won't they have primaries? Why can't we debate with the president? The last thing the Democrats want is Biden to be through a series of debates through the summer, fall, and spring of next year.
Oh,
with a Robert now Williamson, she may go into outer space, wherever she goes, but Kennedy is going to would pound on Biden and pound on him big time. He's got nothing to lose,
right? Yeah,
whatsoever in this. That's the last thing that they want. They don't believe that he can handle debates. They don't believe he can handle an interview that isn't a softball interview. They know he can't handle an interview that has a follow-up question. Right. You can ask him a question, he'll answer. It might not answer you, as we know with this White House, it may not answer your question, but there will be no follow-up.
It's even awkward to think about a softball interview of him driving the Corvette now because of the whole scandal regarding all of the documents that were right there next to the Corvette.
And so that is a concern, but their big concern is their real big concern, because still they know that he would have to go up against Trump or DeSantis, Trump or DeSantis, most likely go up against Trump or DeSantis, next year, and they may limit the number of debates that are, that they would want him to actually be involved in, but they view that as way, way down the road. I think the thing that really is concerning is everything that has come out over the last, week and a half. I'll say the last 2 months of just everything from the, we'll go 3 months, maybe we'll go 4 months, go back to all the, the release of the classified documents and everything else. But I do believe that one of the things that put it over the top this past weekend is the existence of the whistleblower in the IRS.
Yeah,
and I go
change things.
And I go to Margot Cleveland here, and it says from the Federalist.com, while Wednesday's letter from the whistleblower's attorney to the congressional oversight chair spoke only in cryptic terms, as I detailed on Friday, individuals claiming to be directly familiar with the case revealed the whistleblower has accused 2 Biden-appointed U.S. attorneys of refusing to seek a tax indictment against Hunter Biden, despite career investigators' recommendations to do so. The sources also claim the whistleblower's disclosures established that Merrick Garland refused Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss's request for special counsel protection, and that Garland testified inaccurately when he represented to the Senate Judiciary Committee that Weiss had full authority to bring cases in other jurisdictions if he feels it necessary. It isn't merely the seriousness of the whistleblower's accusations that should shake those sheltering Hunter Biden. however, but the promise of corroborating evidence. The whistleblower's attorney reportedly maintains his client can identify witnesses to corroborate the claims of political interference. The whistleblower will be able to talk about these meetings that he attended that were with both agents and prosecutors and how he summarized those meetings and put it in writing and distributed those to folks within the IRS and sometimes other agents. Lido claims, adding that the memorandums and emails will end up corroborating his credibility. So he's got the documents. Sources also maintain Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz has already begun reviewing documents that purportedly corroborate the whistleblower's claims. They say he has sought out both IRS and FBI witnesses, including several past exist to confirm the accusations of political bias. And goes through, why Democrats should be worried. Number two is the IRS agent, from what we know, is nonpartisan and credentialed. And this is really interesting. The IRS whistleblowers claims the two Biden-appointed U.S. attorneys inappropriately and for political reasons declined to seek a tax indictment against Hunter Biden carry more weight given the dual authorization procedures required by the Department of Justice for criminal tax cases. The Department of Justice manual provides that the tax division oversees federal criminal tax enforcement. Thus, while a grand jury is empowered to investigate tax crimes, the tax division must first approve and authorize the United States Attorney's Office use of a grand jury to investigate criminal tax violations. According to tax cases, prosecutions generally require two independent assessments that criminal prosecution is appropriate. In the case of Hunter Biden, both career investigators and career prosecutors in the Department of Justice Tax Division signed off on the recommended charges. The whistleblower maintains that dual approval suggests the evidence underlying the proposed charges was strong. It also pits the two Biden-appointed U.S. attorneys who allegedly declined to seek charges against the president's son against the recommendation of two distinct sets of career employees. And it says also the criminal violations, and we talked about this before, seem obvious. That they do. So just when you take everything that has happened over the last couple of weeks, that all point to influence peddling. When you see the number of Biden family members now from 9 to 12, that all were enriched. When you see the 80 times that Hunter's business associates visited the White House to visit Vice President Joe Biden. When you see all of these things, when you see now, again, the Blinken situation, the Jake Sullivan situation, and who am I missing here now? And the Merrick Garland situation.
Yeah.
The Merrick Garland situation. When you see all of this, what you get over the last couple of weeks is the fact that Biden knew and Biden lied about not knowing about his son's, businesses, because the whole family was involved in it, including Joe Biden. And we all know it. And everybody knows it. Democrats know it. And the 80 different visits to the White House, to Biden's vice presidential office, that was so damning when that came out. And now what's damning over the last week is everybody, it seems, that's involved in the cover-up. Yeah. And it covers everything from, the Blinken calling Mike Morrell, to start off this whole, that the whole letter was not organic. The whole letter from the 51 intelligence officials was not organic. It was started again by the catalyst for it. The flame to ignite that came from the Biden campaign. Everything is dirty. Everything is tainted here. There is nothing that goes in the direction, and I asked this probably a week ago and then 2 weeks ago, is there anything going in the president's direction that we know about possible influence peddling? And the answer is no. And that's what has scared the hell out of Democrats. It's not actually his age, even though it's a part of it and a concern. It's that they don't know how they can win this. And every single day, something else seems to come out on it, which is, I will say this. I was walking down the hall when I left after the last segment. I was walking down the hall, and I thought to myself, if this was Trump, they would have already impeached him.
Oh, yeah.
On what we just know now, they would have already impeached Trump.
Yeah.
The Democrats would have already impeached Trump. There is, I mean, the connect the dots here is mind-boggling, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. And we keep getting more information and more information and more information and more information. And then you think about it, you're going to have, Horowitz now is looking into, what's going on in the Department of Justice. Who knows what's going to happen? If any of those top secret documents were shared with any type of foreign government for any type of business or influence peddling, it's all done. It's over at that point. Yeah. And that taints not just Biden, it taints the entire administration and the Democrats and the media, because everyone was covering up for Biden. If this thing blows up, everybody's been covering for Biden. All Democrats have been covering for Biden. And that's what I would do if I was Republicans. This isn't about Joe Biden. This is about the corruption of the Democrats. This is about all Democrats and all the mainstream media covering up for influence peddling and everything that may come out of it. The Republicans can pound on this. This is the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is corrupt, and the Democratic Party covers up and protects presidents that are corrupt.
And Jake Sullivan is a link back to the Hillary campaign and the whole Russian hoax.
Oh, yep. And then
which shows the entire chain of events and a long history of that kind of behavior.
And the Durham report may come out and help to verify that in the next year also.
Right.
Or in the next 10 years, the Durham report might come out.
Could be 20.
The next 50 years.
Yeah.
I'll be on my deathbed. Yeah. Gary, any last words? Has the Durham report come out yet?
Where's John Durham?
Oh, no, he's delusional.
That old man McNamara down there, he keeps screaming, where's John Durham? Has anybody seen John Durham?
Has anybody
John
seen
Durham,
my old friend
John Durham walks down the hall, gives the report to Gary. Here you go. There you go.
I knew it. I knew it. Hopefully it'll keep him alive for another couple of weeks.
Yeah. Where are my glasses? You're actually wearing them. I do that now. I spent 2 hours driving around the other day looking for my car keys.
I haven't done that, man.
The whole idea, though, and you're right, that should be the campaign. You show the rot that is runs throughout this administration. By the way, getting some feedback, yes, we do know that it was announced, I don't know how many news organizations. I saw it in Wall Street Journal and I think USA Today and New York Times were saying that the announcement would come via video. But our question is, will there be an appearance by the president? And if he makes an appearance, because at some point you've got to address it. Now, he may only want to sit down with Al Roker, but at some point he's going to have to answer the question. And what do you do? What do you have? Karine Jean-Pierre go up and say, well, she's not going to do it because she can't be part of the campaign. Because of the whole
the Hatch Act.
So how do you announce it?
Well, that's horrible. I mean, that's to announce it on video is
that's the thing.
You're president of the United States and you're putting it on
is
video.
He not? You're going to play the video and then he's not going to be present? That's our question. Because, by the way, that wouldn't be shocking. This is, we asked the question, how does a sitting president run from the basement? Well, this is how. This is how you do it.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90-RED-EYE. I want to be clear here when I say they are not concerned so much with his age, but the scandals. Probably inside the Democratic Party, that's a fear. You're not going to hear them publicly say that, but I believe the real fear is the media. I think the media is fearful that, they've dealt with scandals before. They look at this with Biden, they go, my God, how does he overcome this? Nothing. All the momentum, everything on the scandals on influence peddling is going the wrong way. And it's major news breaking after major news breaking. And then over the last week, with other members of his cabinet being involved in the possible cover-up, they know where this is going. And I go ahead.
I have to believe the fear, too, is what you touched on earlier, and that is that it taints the entire party. But not only that, it has a history that goes back.
Yeah.
So it goes back before the Hillary campaign. And I think a lot of them are greatly concerned that this taints the history of the party, the recent history of the party, going back possibly to certainly the Obama years.
This is corruption in the Democratic Party going back over a decade.
Yes. Yeah, because the influence peddling was when he was vice president. That goes back to the Obama administration.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. So here I am reading Jared Baker's column in the Wall Street Journal. Biden's 4 more years sounds like a prison term. Says 4 more years. Have those words ever elicited less excitement? Have 48 months ever loomed as a more unnerving slog through the domestic political strife and rising global insecurity? Has a nation ever peered more anxiously into a future under the leadership of a man far along the path of cognitive decline from which no one has ever returned? Normally, the prospect of an incumbent's reelection is a rallying moment, a chance to remind supporters why you're there in the first place, an opportunity to offer the nation that curious but compelling combination of continuity and renewal. It should be a moment for hope for at least half the country. This time, 4 more years sounds like a parole board's answer to a prisoner's appeal. Second presidential terms are rarely successful since the imposition of the term limit in the 22nd Amendment 70 years ago. The litany of disappointment and delusion has been familiar. Richard Nixon and Watergate, Ronald Reagan and Iran-Contra, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, George W. Bush and the near collapse of the world financial system, Barack Obama and the various pathologies that led the nation into the dystopia of Hillary land and Trumpville. But all these at least started out as promising journeys, campaigns ready to travel hopefully, even if never quite arriving at their planned destinations. Who was honestly enthusiastic about Joe Biden's campaign for a second term, except perhaps for a son who can hope that a father in the White House will continue to shield him from the accountability he deserves. Certainly not most Americans. Only a quarter of the voters want him to run again, according to the latest from Associated Press, released last week. Even Democrats are unenthusiastic. The same poll showed slightly less than half favor a second term. There's no getting around the age problem. The president's widening mental deficit makes a bid for a second term a risky proposition. It's not only an act of willful recklessness, it amounts to a grand deception. Most Americans have seen enough of the president to understand that his capacities continue to shrink. He will be less capable of making the crucial decisions the office requires. A large amount of executive power will be delegated to family members, such as the First Lady, to unelected officials close to the Oval Office, and perhaps the Vice President, which is why a bid for a second term is also reckless. The domestic and international situation demands measured judgment and steady leadership, but we would be forced to wake up every day of a Biden second term wondering if this is going to be the inauguration day for Kamala Harris, the ascension to the top job. No wonder Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running. A crank candidate, a peddler of quack medicine and bad science, is apparently running at 14% of Democratic voters, according to another poll, with Marianne Williamson also of the Moonbeam community polling 5%. That's almost 1 in 5 people who voted for Joe Biden supposedly now are willing to sign up for a total leap into the dark. Perhaps we should hear less from the media about the crackpots who dominate the Republican Party.
That's a solid point.
It's unusually a bad sign for an incumbent when there is so little enthusiasm for him in his own party. It signals a primary challenge that is less than lethal but sufficiently wounding to doom the presidency, as Lyndon Johnson, Jimmy Carter, and George Herbert Walker Bush discovered. But I suspect for all the anger or frustration among Republicans, Mr. Biden is pretty secure. The main reason for concern among the rest of us is that, as things stand, he is a good shot, a shot he doesn't deserve at winning. As his political handlers know, the president is the ideal figurehead for a party that has moved aggressively leftward in the last few years. And that is the greatest point. He's basically a figurehead who can just be pushed whatever way his advisors, family, whatever. But it is reckless, it is irresponsible, and it is a great deception that comes from the Biden family, because everybody knows he is in cognitive decline. Everyone knows that. Yes. Every Democrat knows that. Right. And they pretend it's not happening. No, he's fine. Well, he's fine. There's no problem at all.
Well, and that is it, because the fact of the matter is that we can't rely on him as a commander-in-chief, and haven't been able to, aside from his natural inability to do that, his aging inability also to do that job is something that should be a great concern to everyone, and it is deception by his family and all of those who surround him and protect him. The American people deserve to know exactly what is going on with him and whether or not he is mentally fit, because I will tell you right here and right now, the answer is no. He is not mentally fit. Prove me wrong.
Yeah. And the reason they're doing the tape of him is because they can edit anything out.
They know that he's not going to be able to get through anything without it just being embarrassing.
Right. And they need to have the announcement that he's running again be perfect. So you put that on tape.
Right.
You can edit out whatever you want.
Right.
I mean, this is going to be bad. He can't do any interviews, but they believe that the American, we've talked about this, before, that the American public, number one, and this is a huge problem for this country, and I believe it's the biggest problem that we have, is the fact that, and it's mostly on the Democratic side, not that it doesn't exist on the Republican side, but lying is now accepted by the American public. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolute gaslighting is now accepted by the American public if it fits my narrative and it's anti the other side.
Sure.
But you see it from the Democratic Party that lies about every single major issue that we face today. Every single major issue we face today. And every Democrat listening right now knows that. They know they're lying about the border. They know they're lying about inflation. They know they're lying that solar and wind cannot run an entire economy. They know that. They know the Democrats don't want lower energy prices. The Democrats want energy prices to skyrocket through the roof. Every Democrat right now listening knows that.
Yeah. Yep.
But they accept the lies of the Democrats because, and I don't have an answer for the because.
Can't tell you.
Because the other side
keeps the agenda going.
The other side has
know.
been so successfully demonized, but demonized about what? Where they stand on the issues? Because most Democrats who hate the Republican Party agree with the Republican Party more on the issues.
Mm-hmm. And time again, you see those polls, and the Republican Party can't get the point across. They can't communicate. And I've lost hope that they will be able to communicate for 2024 with few exceptions. But we'll see how it goes. The fact of the matter is that they'll prop Joe Biden up there and they're okay with it. If you look at the list of lies that people have been okay with, this is nothing compared to some of the other lies. And it's paramount. It is paramount. The idea of having a commander-in-chief that has cognitive decline and everybody is aware of it. Everybody knows it. Yet millions of people will still vote for him is insane. It undermines the entire security of this nation.
And there isn't a demand inside of the party early to make the change.
No, there isn't. Someone would have to stand up and say, this is insane.
Right. This is insane.
This is wrong, and we have to change it now.
Right.
No one's going to do that.
Well, except
Kennedy,
the people on the outs, on the fringe.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kennedy's not saying it for that reason, but
But you would have to have major Democrats, and they're not. They're saying, no, he's fine. He's as fine as he's ever been. There's no lack of, and everybody knows it's a lie. But there's no, and so it's not about even with the Democrats where you say, all right, well, you're saying don't vote for Biden. Well, then I'm going to have to vote for Trump, and I'm not going to vote for Trump. We're not even saying that.
No.
We're saying it's been early enough the last year for the Democrats to say, we need to move on.
Yeah.
For a major Democrat to, and they won't do that.
Nope.
But one of the reasons is because it is a radical party. We've talked about where the actual, and this is the federal party, not necessarily local Democrats, and not necessarily where their voters lie on the issues, but the federal Democratic Party is as radical of a political party, major political party, as we have ever seen in the history of the United States, from the liberal transgender activist movement to their racist identity politics. It is the most immoral and pathological lying party that we've ever had on all of the issues, on all the major issues out there. And so they look at it and say, we've got a figurehead, let's go with the figurehead. We don't care whether he's in cognitive decline. We can push him and direct him the way that we wish to do that, and that's all we care about. And so they don't want another candidate because for some insane reason they believe that Biden is still viewed as a moderate. It's just Grandpa Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, no big deal. It's no big deal.
So it's real. I mean, it really is amazing because you think about it, and the whole world. I mean, you think about it, the whole world has to look and go, "My God!" You ever watch Sky News from Australia? I mean, they're just like, what the hell's going on with the United States?
G'day, mate. We're going to take a look at the United States right now.
Oh, they look.
They are batshit crazy.
That's basically, when they look at Biden, they're like, what the hell's wrong with Americans? What in the hell is going on? The Australian stuff is really just some of the anchors are like, what happened to the United States of America?
Right.
Why aren't they looking? This guy's got to go. I mean, pick any Democrat out there.
Yeah.
Just, run some. You mean you have nobody in the Democratic Party that you feel can run? Well, if you remember, they're not about being a moderate. They're about being as radical as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. And Joe Biden, I agree with Jared Baker there, that he's a figurehead that they can manipulate and push to wherever they want. Because this isn't the Biden where he stood on the issues 30 years ago.
Right. It's also not a Biden that has to worry about his future political career, beyond a second term. I know that applies to all presidents. But when you think about the legacy thing, someone like Obama, someone like the current governor of California, Gavin Newsom, those are people that would be worried about their legacy career and being able to hang out with George Clooney past their presidency. Biden doesn't really think that far ahead, and so they know that there are the point being is that if Gavin Newsom was in the office, Gavin Newsom's going to be pushing back a little bit on a couple of things. They're going to want to create their own path to whatever agenda item it is. With Biden, you put it on his desk and he's there, Jack.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90-Red-Eye. So, will be interesting today. I'm wondering, is the videotape going to be in front of people?
See, that's the whole thing, is that
of the president.
If you're making an announcement, well, you're not just going to place an ad somewhere. You're going to do a video presentation. And it will be bizarre if he's not there.
You would think.
And then if he's there, what does he say? I'm here to announce that I will be seeking re-election. You roll the video and come back and then go, thank you? Seriously. I mean, because you want a crowd of friendlies. For the left, that's not hard to find. You're going to have to pay them a little more because of inflation. But you put it together. You make it look like a rally. But if he doesn't speak, it's bizarre. If he does speak...
Oh, no, he'll speak.
Well, if he does speak, it's going to go off the rails at some point.
Well, that's why they have the ability to edit.
No. I mean, speak live at the video presentation.
Okay. No, I think it's going to be a video of him saying that he's running.
I know the video's going to play, but if he's not there, this is the point I'm making. If he's not there in the video with the video presentation, that's weird. And if he is there with the video presentation, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be there with the video. It'll be a video presentation that goes out online.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, I know it is. For a sitting president, it's unbelievable.
That's insane. Because here's the thing. You just drop the video online? You just, and nobody's there to announce it, right? Nothing. Think about that. No crowd, nothing. I mean, you don't want to do it from his home. Certainly not the garage. You know, I could see where he would want to do this from, you know, his stomping grounds. But how do you present this? Because if you just drop a video online, what just happened? The interview with the Easter Bunny and Al Roker was more exciting and newsworthy. Seriously, that was Hunter in the bunny suit. I'm not wrong about that. That was Hunter Biden. He was the Easter Bunny. I'm not wrong. Prove me wrong. And it's going to be because what do? I mean, the media can play the video. That's going to happen. But how do you present it? Because if you just throw it online, that's weird. And if you throw it online and he's there and he just waves and says thank you, that's weird. Yeah. Joe Biden, everybody.
So good, you know you want to listen again with our podcast, available on our app and at redeyeradioshow.com.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90-RED-EYE. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and if you can't listen live overnight, you can listen when and where you choose to our podcast, which is our show.
And thank you.
So there's a headline here. This is actually a couple of days old, but we just been busy and didn't get to it, but this is really interesting. The beginning of banning cigarettes.
Oh, here we go, yeah.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul test marketing a ban on all tobacco sales. As they're ramping up
marijuana use.
This is really interesting to see this. Ramping up marijuana use.
Yeah.
We need to ramp up marijuana use. I know that at one of the casinos the other day, I believe it was one of the Niagara Falls casinos where they had it was a huge celebration, recreational weed.
Oh, for 420, I guess?
I don't know if it was, no, I think it was before 420. They were just announcing that they were going to be selling it.
Oh, okay.
It was just an announcement because
right.
the Indian reservations have been selling it now since the day they said, it's legal.
Yeah.
They were on it immediately.
Now, they also sell tobacco, do they not? The reservations?
Yes.
So would this ban the reservations from?
Probably, yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Reservations couldn't sell pot until it became legal.
Right.
But the pro-legal weed Hochul administration is quietly trying to fire up support for a complete ban on all tobacco products being sold in New York. The State Health Department commissioned a new survey aimed at gauging support for an all-out prohibition, despite Governor Hochul's failure to secure support from state legislators to include a ban on menthol cigarettes and other flavored tobacco products in the yet-to-be-approved state budget. What is your opinion about a policy that would end the sale of all tobacco products in New York? Among 10 years were among the questions asked last week in the New York Local Opinion Leader Survey examined by the Post. Another asked, what is your opinion about a policy that would ban the sale of all tobacco products to those born after a certain date? For example, those born after the year 2010 or later would never be sold tobacco. I don't believe you can do that.
Yeah,
you can't limit a product. Even in New York State, you can't limit if you're over 21, you can't say, well, if you're between the ages of 21 and 30, you can't buy it, but over 30 you can. The poll also solicited input on whether there's backing for another tobacco-related measures, including capping the number of retailers who can sell products in a community and prohibiting the sales near schools.
Okay, so if they were to go in and write the law as basically the minimum age each year would change, that they could legally do. So let's say if they wanted to, basically, as they said, no one born after the year what? 2010?
2010, yes.
Okay, would ever be able to buy it. So anyway, they would go back and just say, all right, as of this year, this would be the legal age. As of this year, this would be the minimum legal age. So you go from 21 to 20.
I don't believe they can do
25, 27.
I believe
they can't change the minimum age?
Not after 21. When you're an adult, you have all the rights of any adult out there. 21 is the age. So you can't say you can't buy something. I don't know any product that you can't buy when you're over 21.
Well, but the minimum age for cigarettes has been different in states for a long time. But you're saying up to 21.
Up to 21, right.
That would be what would be challenged.
Right, 21 is viewed as the absolute in most states, and by the federal government, 21 is viewed as that number as being a full-fledged adult. That there is, I don't know, anything that's banned for you when you're under 30, and then over 30 you can get it. That's
skinny jeans. Well, you can wear them up to the age of 30.
That's just,
over 30. They are banned.
That's just good sense.
Yeah, that's good law. That's good lawmaking right there. Solid lawmaking. And those of you who are skirting the law, you know who you are.
That was a good moment in life when the first time you looked and you said, "Relax, jeans. That sounds better."
Yeah. How about just jeans that fit you and don't look like you snuck into your kid brother's room to put them on?
That and the sort of hidden expandable waistlines.
Yeah. Yeah, see, back in the day, you could tell the expandable waist pants, you could tell.
You could tell, right?
No, you could see.
Right.
You could see.
Yeah, now,
all bunched up and right. Stuff, now, gathered at the top.
Right. Now they've sort of hidden it. They've made the hidden expandable waistlines.
Yeah. Everybody's basically wearing spandex because all the jean makers are now wearing or are now making and slacks and everything else. It's all expandable. Shirts, all of it.
Yes, exactly. Everything expands.
We gave up. Here's the thing. Once we put chocolate in a peanut butter jar and said, we're just going to fill the thing with chocolate. But it's chocolate. Yeah, I know. We're just going to make a chocolate sandwich, and then we'll just make all the jeans stretchy. All the pants.
I mean, that is a great moment in life, though, when you realize I don't care what I wear, and I don't care what anybody else thinks about what I wear.
I don't care.
That is a great moment in life.
Oh, no, it's golden.
Where you sit there and you say, all right, I'm walking out of the house. I don't care.
It's like those Crocs, the shoes.
Yes.
They have the holes in the top of them. That's so where your dignity can leak out, through your shoes. You just wear them to the store. Why not? Just be comfortable. Nobody cares. Oh, by the way.
Wait a minute. Let me make the admission. I had a pair of clogs.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I don't think I ever wore them with shorts.
Yeah. I don't have any of the Crocs.
In the 70s.
My brother-in-law swears by them.
In the 70s, I had. Now what I wear is any sneaker that supports the ankle to ensure that the inflammation of my arthritis in my ankle isn't as bad.
Okay. Speaking of getting old and clothes.
Only thing I think about. Go ahead.
Yeah. I had a real moment. Saw a video come up from the Jimmy Kimmel show. It's Gorillaz, the band.
Oh, yeah.
featuring Beck. It's a new song. Actually, the song is pretty cool. I like Gorillaz, and so I was like, oh, okay, but I haven't seen Beck in forever, it seems like. Beck gets up there. He's wearing not my dad's, my grandfather's pants. And they're pretty high up there. And he's skinny and doesn't have the greatest posture. So he's, kind of, again, the song was great. And I was like, oh, but man, he totally looks like he's about to go to the early bird special.
So was he a loser baby? And did he?
Yeah.
Why don't you kill me?
Here's the thing. I had to Google it. Because I don't, for some reason for him, it's just been blanked out of my mind of his age, right? I go back to his heyday years. He's only a few years younger than me. And I'm like, oh, he looks good. I would have chosen different pants. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you think about age. I was shocked. I don't know why. Because he was on CNN in the 90s. Tucker Carlson's only 53.
Yeah. No, actually, I thought he was younger than that. I mean, he goes back forever.
And that's why he goes back to everywhere. I just didn't.
But I thought he was, I don't know why. I thought he was, I don't know. I guess I thought he was probably in his late 40s.
You know what it was?
I don't know.
You know what it was? To me, I always thought like he had the remember he wore a bow tie.
Yeah, for the longest time.
Yeah, he wore the people might not remember that. We're old enough. We're old enough to remember when Tucker Carlson wore a bow tie.
Yeah.
And so I always viewed him in my mind as like a George Will, who George Will into his 70s. That's why they actually on Seinfeld, they were talking about the smart people, and I the smartest people out there, and I think it was Jerry or somebody said George Will, and Kramer goes, no, I don't think he's that smart. And he goes, but he's got the very clean look. He's got a very brushed, clean look.
Put together.
Like George Will, to me, looked the same when he was 40 as he looked when he was 70. There was no difference.
It's like Bernie Sanders. He's always been old.
Right. And I was just viewed... Well, no, actually, no. I mean, George Will didn't look old to me. That was the point. When he was older, he looked younger to me.
Yeah, to me, he definitely has always looked old.
See, just the opposite for me. And
maybe
so
it's because I'm younger than you.
And so I always looked at, like, Tucker, as soon as the bow tie was there, I went, oh, okay, he's just older, but he looks young. So I always just thought he was way older than he was. And
he looks a lot better at 53 than I did. He looks like he's holding up better at 53.
So I just, but as for the cigarette thing, not just cigarette, it's going to be all tobacco products is where they want to head to.
Right.
Hochul's own budget proposal notes banning flavored tobacco products would cost the state $133 million in lost tax revenues for the fiscal year, if that gets in. Flavored products, including menthols, make up 40% of all legal tobacco sales in New York.
Now, here's the question. Are you going to be limited on what you can buy across state lines and bring it in?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, the black market's going to go through the roof. The black market's already through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Has been for a number of years.
The question I still have, the reservations have been so active in selling pot and had such a head start.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe they're going to want to pay the taxes that New York puts on it. That I really wonder. And you, for example, you see that they basically said we got to give up on the illegal shops, pot shops that are already open in New York.
Yeah.
That the illegal, I just wonder if it's going to be, it was a bust in California. It's been a bust. It may be a bust from day one for pot in New York.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's.
And then the thing is, too, my buddy said the other day, he wrote to me, he said, I should have got busted as a drug dealer. And I went, why? He goes, I'd be first in line to get a marijuana license in New York.
No, that's how they're doing it like California did it. Well, as long as you just go apply for the license, you're good. Okay. You go apply for the license and don't follow up. Oh, well, just if you'll just go apply again, then we're good. But that's, the test has already been played out in other states, and New York will be essentially starting at a point that other states are already at with the black market ruling, and it will.
Yes, that's interesting to see that. We become a nation where I can see in Portland, for example, all drugs are legal except...
Then 20 years from now...
Except nicotine.
Yeah, 20, 30 years from now. Hey, they're trying to make tobacco legal. Only for medical purposes.
Now, is anybody talking about touching caffeine? That's where I draw the line.
I'll wait for it.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carlson. I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90-RED-EYE. Coming up on the top of the hour, the photographs of that San Francisco Target store where everything is behind glass.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, well, how do you shop?
Meet you up front.
Meet you
up front.
You might as well just pull in, you sit there, you sit in the parking lot with your app, hit everything and go in. I mean, well, how do you even... I was looking, I go, well, how do you even shop?
No, the idea is actually working toward AI that would bring those items essentially and package them. It would be just like picking up something at a Amazon pickup location, and you can't touch it at all until it's paid for.
Yeah. I saw one story. It said everything's locked up. The other one said, well, most things are locked up.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things are locked up, but it was the point that the point that got to me was, okay, they continue to lock up more and more and more and more and more.
Yep.
It's like, well, then finally you might as well just be gone.
Yeah.
Your store is just going to be gone, as we've seen that. So we'll get to that.
Because you don't need a store location. If you're going to do it like Amazon does it, where you just order something, on an app or whatever, and then you pick it up, you just need a pickup location, which you can put in multiple locations.
And then the Republicans talk about what they will do in their debates, all coming up. 866-90-RED-EYE.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, 866-90-RED-EYE. I'm Gary McNamara. He is Eric Harley. Welcome and good morning. Let me see here. What's coming from Hollywood here? Kevin Bacon and his wife have thrown their support behind drag queen performances for children, saying laws that ban such performances represent bad karma.
Bad karma?
Bad karma, yes. In a video posted to Bacon's Twitter account, the couple is seen wearing matching T-shirts saying, "Drag is art, drag is a right."
Uh-huh.
So for children, apparently, drag
yes.
is
right. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
My God, these people, they're nuts.
Well, I mean,
it's absolutely just it's completely insane.
stripping is an art. Is it a right? And is it a right to do it in front of children? How far do we want to go with this? That's perversion.
It is amazing that so many have taken this as the hill to die on. I find that fascinating.
Yep. It's a growing number, too.
It is a growing number of perverts out there. Do what you want to do, be what you want to be. Don't step on my toes, and keep the children out of it.
Yep. And now
I think that's how the vast majority of Americans feel.
It's a right to do it in front of children. How far you want to take it?
Yeah.
This is exactly who they are and have been all along. So, all right, great. I mean, Hollywood has shown that they really, they're about as shallow as can be. They've always been about the causes, but, this goes to a new level of perversion.
And somehow they're trying to make it into some type of perverted civil rights issue here, which is just bizarre. Look, you can do, like I said, do whatever you want to do. You're an adult. Go ahead.
Yep.
Leave the kids out of it.
Yeah.
And don't tell me I have to accept it or celebrate it with you.
Right.
Or believe your delusions.
Right.
I don't, and I won't.
Yeah.
This
is not a right.
And don't think that threatening violence is going to stop the opposition.
It's all they got.
Not going to work.
It's all they got.
And if you wish to name call, we'll name call right back.
We'll come after you. The mob is going to rule here. The angry mob will rule. Well, sorry, you're drawing a line in the sand with parents.
Yeah.
You're not going to win that. You can go straight to hell. Right away.
You're not going to win it with
Not
parents.
going to win it.
Not going to win it.
Not going to win it. Not going to win it. Unacceptable, period.
Yeah, it's just the thing that and we said it last week that this is where you get and you had mentioned the Tucker Carlson speech to the Heritage Foundation, and you I didn't see it, and you told me, you said, wow, it was a lot of what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago when we said the the liberal transgender activist movement, the drag shows for children, the wanting to teach sexualized content,
the surgeries,
the surgeries, everything else. We said, there isn't a win politically here.
That's not a political strategy
and we just
at all.
said, this is just pure evil and immorality is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure decadence. It's child abuse, out and out. And for some reason, they thought that the liberal transgender activist movement and other perverts out there thought they could steamroll the sexist and misogynist and the child abusers out there with that mindset of grooming children, thought that they could steamroll this past the adults and parents in the United States.
Yeah.
It was only going to go so far.
Right.
And then people sit there going, they're just nuts. And all of a sudden it appears at your school and it appears at your neighborhood.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're told that if you won't allow this, that you're a bad parent.
And they're coming after you.
Right. That you're the child abuser if you won't allow your child to have this freedom to make those decisions for themselves, that you're the child abuser. Well, I don't think so.
Right.
Let's have that debate.
Well, what's next? Okay, let's line up all the boys. We're going to get you dressed up.
Yeah.
And parents, if you speak up about it, this is our right to do this. We're teaching them art. It's a right.
Well, we should have figured it out with Kevin Bacon in his scene in Animal House that there was something going on there, because he did seem to enjoy that too much.
A little too much.
He wanted another.
Yeah, he did.
And he thanked the sir and wanted another.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should have expected this from Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Probably.
By the way, his band sucks too.
So does his dancing. Took me 40 years to say that because I really didn't care up until now. But if we're going to have the conversation.
Wow. Come on. I just thought it could be the new Footloose.
Yeah.
Except it's the town not accepting drag shows.
It's all drag shows
kids,
now.
For kids.
We don't allow drag shows in this town. That's going to be the movie. Feather boa. It's going to happen. No, please, Hollywood, make these movies. Please. You think it's such a great idea, right? It's such a great cause. Hey, man, you think it's the next civil rights movement. Why aren't you already making the movie?
Well, we're going now accuse Kevin Bacon of promoting women face.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The sexism and misogyny now goes right to Kevin Bacon's doorstep.
Yep.
There you go.
They have a right to be in front of your child.
I don't think so.
No.
No.
No. And no.
Does this mean if I monitor their TV viewing that I'm committing child abuse too?
Right.
Are there any limits on a child that we should have?
Well, if you're a parent, you don't have any authority. We'll say what's good for your child. This is art.
And children belong to all of us.
It's a right.
As Biden said yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It takes a village.
I was like, I don't need to go back to it takes a village again. It was like, oh, no, here we go again. It takes a village.
Yeah.
No.
Now, at least it takes a village was a subtle approach, which back then we nipped in the bud. But with Biden, hey, your kids belong to us.
Kids belong to everybody.
No, sir. No, sir. You're supposed to say it takes a village. We are the village people, and they belong to us. No, that's not what I was trying to...
No, it's not what the village people.
That's not what I'm trying to say. No, it's... 4 more years and a feather boa in every classroom. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Oh, my God.
That's not... Did you tell him what to say? I told him what to say. But he didn't say that. I know. We should stick to the video. I know.
Now, we want to make sure that we both like the movie The Village, but it was... But then again, wait a minute. That movie was about kids being controlled, wasn't it?
It's about tricking your kids and keeping them...
It's about tricking your kids.
They actually got a wall built. Think about it. They got a wall built. And they outlawed the color red. They were clearly against Republicans.
Yeah, they outlawed red? I didn't even think about that with The Village.
Yeah.
Wow, they outlawed red?
If in the sequel you walked in wearing a MAGA hat, you would be evil.
And then they never wanted to debate about their opposition because, remember, what was it, those we don't speak of?
Yes. That's right.
Yeah.
Or as we call them, Republicans.
Exactly. Oh, my God. Well, we're doomed, but we're having a lot of fun here.
Hey, aren't you Ron Howard's daughter? Yeah.
I did see an interview on YouTube with the two brothers. It was actually pretty good.
Oh, with Ron Howard and his brother?
And his brother, yeah.
Yeah. His brother, he just posted the other day, his brother had a birthday, Clint Howard.
Yeah, his brother who's more conservative.
Yeah. It was a very nice post. It was,
they speak very well with each other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And I did see an interview with the daughter, too.
Yeah.
That was recently done.
Mm-hmm.
And was, because she's like a director now, too.
Yeah.
Running in the family. But, yeah. Now I'm going to have to reassess my entire analysis of the village now after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Biden's claiming our nation's children are all our children. It's like,
it was, by the way, a funny story of Ron Howard. He bought a magazine because his daughter's on the cover. And he took it, he just, saw it on his way through. He grabbed it, bought it, took it home. It was Jessica Chastain on the cover, not his daughter, who I've always thought looked just like his daughter. True story. According to Ron Howard, it's a true story. Yeah.
That's funny.
That would be funny.
That's actually funny. Yeah. So, Biden was giving a speech yesterday. He was ripped by critics when he made a statement suggesting that the children of parents across the nation belong to the whole country rather than their own families. So,
yeah. No, that's exactly the agenda. You don't have authority. If you disagree with your child, that's abuse. Now, excuse us, because we have a drag queen that's going to read to your child while the drag queen dances.
I don't know. I think Biden might be willing to sacrifice some of his own children because some of his own children, may be wards of the state soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Actually, could be wards of the state.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the whole thing. Is Hunter hanging out with Dad so much lately? It's like, they won't. They can't get me at the White House.
No, you did see that though.
The story of his baby mama.
Yeah, the fact that he's trying to hide from the baby mama, so he's staying at the White House.
Yeah, because he's apparently going to be served, according to the New York Post, where I saw it.
And it's impossible to serve you if you're traveling with the president with the Secret Service.
Right.
And it's impossible to serve you if you're living in the White House.
Yes.
And that other Biden family members also are there.
Right.
At the White House.
Right.
And it's like they feel they're protected there where nobody can get to them.
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh, my. Now, that's going to produce some major bunker mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
866-90-RED-I.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on compliance, safety, accountability. Drivers should be familiar with how their actions affect their motor carrier's compliance, safety, accountability, or CSA score in the 7 basic categories. The driver fitness score is based on the physical and medical qualifications of drivers. The vehicle maintenance category requires drivers to know how to inspect CMVs and secure cargo. Hours of service compliance relies on drivers keeping accurate records of duty and abiding by hours of service limits. The unsafe driving category is affected by unsafe driving behaviors such as failing to wear a seatbelt or obey traffic laws. Drivers should understand the drug and alcohol prohibitions to prevent hurting their carrier's controlled substances and alcohol basic score. And drivers who transport hazmat must know how to safely transport hazardous materials according to the regulations. The final basic category, crash prevention, is based on how many crashes a motor carrier has been involved in, so drivers must know how to drive safely to avoid crashes. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90 Red Eye. Welcome and good morning. But then in Hollywood, all of a sudden you get some sanity. Tim Robbins slams top Democrats for threatening journalist Matt Taibbi with jail over Twitter files. Hollywood star Tim Robbins has slammed prominent Democratic lawmakers for threatening to jail independent journalist Matt Taibbi over his reporting on the Twitter files, which shows large-scale collusion between the federal government and Twitter to censor conservatives. And, you know, what the Democrats are stating is, and this isn't going to go anywhere, by the way. It's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Because there's nothing there, is that Taibbi, when discussing it, not in front of Congress, but on MSNBC, made a mistake of the agency that he said was responsible for something. Now, he said the right thing when he was in front of Congress, but there was a difference of opinion because he made a mistake and had said it was, you know, another agency.
Right.
That's initials were very close to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you have the representative from the Virgin Island, as I call the fake congressperson because she doesn't get a vote.
Yeah.
That threatened him with 5 years in jail for that discrepancy, which when he found out about it, immediately straightened out. He go, oh, no. But he didn't say that in front of Congress. In Congress, he said the right thing. It was in another interview where he had said the wrong thing, and they claimed they're going to jail him for that. Well, they can't. I mean, it was just the dumbest thing, and it was like such a reach. But there's Tim Robbins coming out and stating that this is just ridiculous. There are liberals out there that look at what has happened to the power of the state and are absolutely terrified by that. And you see that in the Jonathan Turleys. You see that in somebody like a Tim Robbins. You see that in a Dershowitz.
Yeah.
They look at this and they go, what in the hell? When did the Democrats ever become the party behind unlimited state abuse of power? Well, that's where they are now.
Yep. And, you know, I think you look at those that are critical thinkers, but also see it coming. I mean, they see this and say, well, my gosh, it's only a matter of time before they come after me or everybody, that nobody is safe. If this kind of agenda is going to be in full play, then it's just a matter of time before it gets to you. And it shouldn't be the case.
If Democrats abuse the power, eventually Republicans will.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But in the scorching tweet posted Monday, Robbins specifically named Hakeem Jeffries, Jerry Nadler, and Virgin Islands delegate Stacey Plaskett, who was the head of that.
Yeah.
The one. And remember, she's just a delegate. She's elected to Congress, but is not a member of Congress, but still can serve and had panels in Congress, but she doesn't have a vote.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
It is.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90-RED-EYE. Good morning. Welcome. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and if you can't listen live overnight to one of our great radio stations, you can listen when and where you want. Just reading here Andrew McCarthy in the New York Post talking about where Comer should go with everything, with influence peddling. And he said, when the framers gave Congress the power to remove a president from office by inserting impeachment clauses in the Constitution, nothing more animated them than the fear of foreign corruption. A president whose influence and authority had been purchased through shady foreign deals and who could thus be expected to subordinate American interests to those of anti-American powers and could profoundly damage the United States. It is among Congress's most solemn duties to ensure that American power, especially executive power, is insulated from foreign corruption. That is why even middling executive officials who need security clearances to do their jobs must make extensive disclosures of all their foreign contacts and transactions. People need not be guilty of crimes to be denied such clearances. The rational concern that they could be compromised is enough to wall them off from access to intelligence and national security functions. With the Bidens, of course, there is a lot more than mere potential to be worried about. They undeniably reaped millions of dollars, mainly through obscure entities patently set up to make the transfers hard to trace, apparently without providing discernible value in good or services to justify the breadth of the payments. It looks like sheer influence peddling. We are entitled to presume that it is, unless and until an unlikely innocent explanation is given to us. Wait a minute. Don't they get the presumption of innocence? No, they don't. This is a congressional inquiry, not a criminal case. If foreign payments are proved, we're entitled to presume Biden is compromised for the same reason the government may deny a security clearance out of well-founded fear of potential corruption. In a criminal trial, a defendant is presumed innocent because the government seeks to convict him and remove his right to liberty. But political power is a privilege, not a right. Joe Biden has been trusted to wield the awesome powers of the presidency. There is no presumption of entitlement to that privilege. If he and his family cashed in on his political influence, particularly with hostile foreign powers, and if they covered their tracks with the maze of money trails and false accusations of Russian disinformation, we're entitled to presume they did so to the detriment of the nation. And that is where Comer needs to keep his focus. Instead, he is intimating that the Justice Department has been derelict in that it has not indicted everyone who has any type of fingerprints involved in this influence peddling scheme. That's foolish. The crimes Comer seems to be hinting at may not have been committed. Money laundering, for example, is difficult to prove unless one can show the money was the proceeds of criminal activity before assets started being moved around. Yes, it is unsavory to take money from the Chinese Communist Party, from corrupt Ukrainian government cronies, and from Russians in strongman Vladimir Putin's circle, among many dubious foreigners with whom the Bidens have done business. But it is not illegal per se to do business with the sources. Therefore, the money taken from them for such services as, say, consulting may technically be lawful income, but it stinks to high heaven. If the revenue was booked accurately and the Bidens can afford good lawyers and accountants, there may be no major tax violations, at least beyond the Hunter tax offenses that have been widely reported. If the Bidens took the money to do the bidding of their foreign powers, they could be guilty of acting as foreign agents without registering as such with the government under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. But FARA felonies are rare and notoriously tough to prove. FARA has only been charged only a few times in the last half century, even with the slight uptick since the Mueller probe. Department of Justice's record of enforcing FARA remains spotty and mostly dormant. Did President Biden and his family members rake in millions from foreign sources in a manner that is despicable? It sure looks that way, but Comer is publicly suggesting that they are not only sleazy but guilty of crimes. If no one is indicted, though, other than perhaps Hunter, on minor charges, the president will claim that he has been vindicated. He will use Comer's public claims to argue that Republicans were wrong and that he had done nothing wrong. The problem is here that our adversaries in China among other alien governments, have lavished millions of dollars on the president's family to buy his influence. If that is shown to be true, then he is unfit to be president. Whether it is also a crime is besides the point, and we've always stated that.
Yep. Is he compromised?
Right. Is he compromised?
Really, I mean, not that the crime is secondary, but the immediate concern should be whether or not he's compromised. Because the crime part of it would then be him paying his debt to society, if that is the case. If a crime was committed, it's already been committed. But if he is compromised, that is in play right now.
Right. As we said, the influence penalty, that's why we've said, if this was Trump, he would have been impeached already.
Yeah, easy.
Because we know the money came in from foreign sources and there was no service provided.
Having what we have right now, if you had that on Trump, he would have been impeached.
He would have been impeached, right. Right, exactly.
You'd have some Republicans on board.
Yes, you would. Yeah.
So we've been saying this over and over and over again, but that was well laid out. That you are not innocent until proven guilty, because there is no right to hold a political position. That is a privilege. We are right to assume that something is up here, and it must be vetted thoroughly.
But there is a reason why Biden lied and said that he's not involved,
right?
That he knows nothing about his son's businesses.
Right.
There's a reason that Blinken did what he did and made the call to Mike Morrell to talk about Russia disinformation.
Right.
There's a reason that a whistleblower is saying that the Department of Justice is holding back going after Hunter Biden. Because, Hunter, as we have said, there may be tax crimes here, and it looks like, according to the whistleblower, that there is, and the Department of Justice wishes to do it. But if they all, for example, if Biden, if he, unless you can prove that he actually did something for the Chinese, where you could consider it a bribe in some kind of way, like you could for a mayor or something to get actually something done,
right,
which would be hard to do in a president, because a president can't do the same things that a mayor probably could do.
Right.
Set contracts your way, city contracts or things like that.
It wouldn't be so obvious.
Right. It's not going to be obvious, but it's still influence peddling, because everything the president may do in relation to a particular country may be very subtle.
In fact, I would say, because it's not, because of those qualities that we just mentioned, because it's not so obvious on the quid pro quo level, this means that it is more important to get to the bottom of it in a faster manner. But we have to get to the bottom of this, because you're not going to see that, that quid pro quo won't be as obvious, and that investigation should absolutely happen, and it should be, this entire situation should be vetted properly.
But I agree with him. That's the base should be, look, influence peddling happened. Money went to the Biden family. We believe that disqualifies him. We're going to get to the bottom of that. And if there's any crimes out there also, but understand that the president taking millions, tens of millions of dollars and enriching his family, he is compromised because he has access to the top secrets, and anybody else who did this would not be able to get a job in government.
Right.
And we believe that he is compromised and should not have been taking all these tens of millions of dollars to enrich his family when the family was in no legitimate business. You start with that and then say, we're also looking for crimes. But you don't ignore that first part.
Right. No, that's paramount.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back. with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90 Red Eye, if you'd like to get in. Well, here's another story here. Molly Ringwald has criticized the cancel culture as unsustainable in a new interview. While speaking about the Me Too movement and sexual harassment, she shared her views on the cancel culture. I don't think a Harvey Weinstein situation could exist now, but again, a lot of people have gotten swept up in cancellation, and I worry about that. It's unsustainable in a way. Some people have been unfairly canceled, and they don't belong in the same category as somebody like Harvey Weinstein. What it ends up doing is to make people roll their eyes. That's my worry. I do want things to change. For real, workplaces should be places where everyone can feel safe, not just in Hollywood, but everywhere, particularly Americans. We can never do things incrementally. We're so binary, so all or nothing. We're basically a bunch of Puritans, end of quote. I don't think so, but...
yeah. Puritans? No.
I'm not sure where she's going with...
No. She needs to talk to Kevin Bacon and his wife on the Puritan thing. She may have missed that.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, the point I think she's making or trying to make is that in the whole hashtag Me Too, there were people that were accused of things, and then they were canceled, and they're not working now. But it wasn't the kind of behavior that Weinstein was accused of doing.
Right.
Right. So, again, I don't know. There were so many of those cases. I can't tell you. I wasn't there. But the cancel culture, no doubt, wanted to go full on with anything and everything.
Well, the Me Too was based on the fact that you always believe the woman no matter what, no matter what the evidence. And we said, well, of course, we said at the time that was ridiculous. And that's died out.
Yeah.
Because that really, too, the Me Too came, you always believe the woman, and that was part of the whole Gorsuch.
Yeah. Right.
Situation. Well, the woman's always right. Well, no, she's not.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
That's a stupid thing to say. You base everything on the evidence that exists at that particular point. Now, if I know a woman and know that she's credible and know that she's honest, I can believe her. But to make the point to destroy somebody's life, you got to have the evidence.
Right.
Doesn't matter what your sex is.
Right.
Got to have the evidence. And so that Me Too blew up for a while, and then the blowback came, and now you really don't hear much about it anymore at all because Me Too became you always believe the woman, and that's not what Me Too should be about.
And then it was anyone can be a woman, so you believe anybody and everybody.
Exactly. So that diluted it completely to begin with.
No, it did.
But with Weinstein, everybody knew what was going on, and everybody hid for him.
Well, I mean, there were big Hollywood names for decades that protected him.
Yeah.
And didn't have to.
And the board knew it was going on. Remember the deal? Deal they had with him?
He basically had a pay scale based on the type of things that behavior that he was involved in.
I know. Unbelievable.
That's sick.
Yeah, it is.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.